Hello. I am pleasantly surprised as I make this video. I did not go into this race expecting anything, mainly because I thought this car would struggle at New Hampshire, if it struggled at Richmond, if it struggled at Martinsville, if it struggled at Phoenix, if it struggled at a lot of other kind of flat-esque racetracks. I thought it would struggle here. But, you know, it actually was solid, not better than solid. That was actually some really good racing. And the best compliment I could give this race is that, guys, we are in the middle of July, okay? This is the part of the NASCAR season that is quite boring, usually, on a year-by-year basis, because you kind of just wait till the playoffs. It's just the races go by week after week, and the tracks usually aren't the best, and, you know, we kind of just get a little bit bored. But this past few stretches of races that usually are pretty boring have been pretty good. And so shout out to actually the NASCAR the schedule, the guys who make the schedule, because the races have been pretty decent. I do think Michigan and Pocono are coming up though, so maybe let me not get too ahead of myself. But it's been solid racing. Today this race was a solid 8 or a 9 out of 10. We are going to talk about it, and for the first time I am going to talk about the playoff standings. You guys know me, I don't like talking about this stuff until when it actually matters. And well, when you have the 14th different winner, now it's starting to actually matter. So that's when I decided to talk about it. I also want to give a shout out to all the Patreon members who are always supporting the channel. You guys are the absolute best. We have a few new ones. We have Chewy and Sean, I think it is. Thank you guys so much for joining the Patreon. If you guys want to support the channel directly, the link is in the description below. Make sure you comment by your opinion on the race, and let's get into it. Overall, the racing was pretty good. I don't think there's much to say about that. I'm going to go into more of the individual performances. And the first guy, and this was the guy I was paying the most attention to today, and I'll admit I was really glued on him, really seeing how he was doing, what he was complaining about, how was his car, was Bubba Wallace. I was watching him because, and this is a compliment to him, I don't normally see Bubba Wallace running in the top 5 at a track that's not you know, and kind of anyone can do well, you know, super speedway racing basically is what I'm trying to say. Or even a short track like Bristol or if he ran well at Bristol, which he has in his career, I wouldn't be surprised because Bubba Wallace, he just runs well there. So, but this one, I wasn't expecting Bubba to, you know, run near the front the entire race, possibly even get into the lead if it wasn't for Truex. He ended up finishing 3rd on the day, which was a really good performance. And this is something that he really needs to build on because this was one of those performances that I want to see more frequently from him. He beat his teammate, he beat all the other Joe Gibbs cars except for one, and he basically stayed out of trouble pretty much the whole entire race, raced around the front guys, and did extremely well. I want to see this on a consistent basis. That's the next step. There's a few steps. I want to see better performances at road courses, and I want to see more consistent top 10 runs and results at the short tracks or the speedways. That is what I'm looking for, and 3rd place is definitely qualifying in that category. He basically was running top 5 consistently. He was a top 5 speed with this car there, and he ended up coming home in 3rd. So big shout out to Bubba. That is the main guy I was basically watching the entire race and seeing how he did.
What a day. Great weekend here at Loudon. Proud of our team. Executed all day. We've had this speed and it's just it's good to finally put a race together and showcase what we deserve, what we've, you know, been showing all year. So proud of everybody on the Pocono with some momentum. And
you know what, since I'm going basically by performances, because like I said, I don't think we need to talk about the actual race that much. There were a lot of incidents, spins. We could talk about how Kyle Busch spun 3 times or 2 times or whatever it was, just spinning by himself. He had a nightmare of a day. We could talk about Alex Bowman getting caught up in a wreck, and that's his 3rd DNF in the last 4 races. Again, that's bad, but I kept trying to say this. I just don't rate Alex Bowman as highly as some of the other guys at Hendrick. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but every time he was able to win these races and everyone was freaking out oh my God, Alex Bowman, he's amazing. I was like, I don't see it. I'm sorry, I just don't. And 3 DNFs out of the last 4 races. Yes, this one was not very good, or not his fault, essentially. He was just a bystander in this incident. But it's more of the overall pace, the qualifying results, just compared to his teammates. I do not see Alex Bowman performing at a level that would be championship quality. And unfortunately, when you're at Hendrick Motorsports, That's the expectation, championship quality. And, you know, it's unfair. It's unfair. But you're at Hendrick Motorsports, so those are the expectations that are placed on you. That's just how it is. But if we look at the results, which I'll put right up here, you can see, we'll talk about Christopher Bell in a second. Chase Elliott is probably the most consistent driver in the field at the moment. He will, when we talk about points, he will be leading the playoff standings heading into the playoffs. He will most likely win the regular season championship. So he will be like the #1 seed essentially in the playoffs. So, you know, kind of just let that team do his thing. We already talked about Bubba Wallace, Martin Truex Jr. and Kevin Harvick. So these two guys is who I really want to talk about, because Truex dominates this entire race in an Interstate Batteries 18 Toyota Camry, which really confused me the entire race, and I never got used to it because I always thought that was Kyle Busch. And what's even worse is they then put Kyle Busch in a DeWalt paint scheme. I just don't like how Gibbs does this. Like, why do we gotta, like, I look at that DeWalt sponsorship and I associate that with Matt Kenseth and Christopher Bell and whoever was in the 20 car. I do not associate that Kyle Busch. I don't associate the Interstate Batteries car with Martin Truex Jr. It's just really complicated. Like, for sponsorship reasons, you should really associate Interstate Batteries with Kyle Busch and not Martin Truex Jr. And it's just, I don't know. I don't like the way they do the, you know, the sponsorships over there. But that's just my opinion. Martin Truex Jr. dominated the whole race. They put 2 tires on his car, and he got back in traffic, and the car went away. That was basically it. Dominated the whole race, but won in stage 1 and 2. And unfortunate for him. And we will talk about Truex when it comes to the playoff standings. I really do need to get to those playoff standings. Kevin Harvick in 5th. Actually, you know what? I can't talk about this without talking about the playoff standings. So now, as I pull it up on my phone, I'm going to pull up the playoff standings right here and show it to you guys. See, look, I got it on my phone, guys. You see right there? I got it on my phone. All right, so here's the situation. So we got Martin Truex and Kevin Harvick. So this is kind of weird. Honestly, I never thought I'd see this. I always thought the playoffs, I didn't know if there was a possibility for 16 drivers or more to ever win. It's possible now. But basically, Truex is on the bubble. So if Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, if they win a race, then Truex is out of the playoffs. Ryan Blaney, who is 2nd in the regular season points, is 15th in the playoff standings. Whether you think that's fair or not, that's an argument for another day. But the fact of the matter is, the way NASCAR wants their points to be, you know, calculated, you have to win. And there's 26 races that you have your chance to win. And if you don't win 1 race out of 26, then, you know, there's a very clear argument that you could say, like, how good are you actually? You couldn't win 1 race while your competitors all won and all that stuff. So, you know, that's an argument for another day. But the guy who's 2nd in the points, and I think Truex is like 4th in the points. So these two are very consistent drivers who are in the top 5 in the regular season points, are now on the bubble. If one of Harvick, Almirola, Jones, or Dillon wins, they get knocked out of the playoffs. Bell, Cindric, Bowman, Busch, Briscoe, Reddick, Suarez, Busch, Larson, Hamlin, Logano, Byron, Chastain, and Chase Elliott all have wins. Again, Chase Elliott at the #1 seed with 20 playoff points is likely going to go to 35 or more, because you get 15 for winning the regular season points, plus if he wins any stages or races before the playoffs start. So you can imagine Elliott having 35 plus playoff points. He will be the #1 seed, and honestly, I would probably pick him as one of the drivers to make the Final Four, just because he is showing raw pace at the moment as well. But there is a very interesting scenario that one of this is a fact actually. One of Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., and Ryan Blaney will not make the playoffs. That's really surprising. Like, try to get that in your head. One of Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, and Kevin Harvick. We're talking about 3 teams and drivers that are basically top 10 in the sport. Like, you can all say those 3 drivers are better driver / team. You could argue it than Christopher Bell, Austin Cindric, Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, Tyler Reddick, Daniel Suarez. You could argue they're better than Kurt Busch. You can argue they're better than William Byron. I'm just saying that's what you can argue. So you can put them in the top 8, top 9, top 10 of team / drivers, and one of them guaranteed will miss the playoffs. That is just, you know, I usually never pay too much attention to the playoffs or before the playoffs because you kind of already know who's going to be in it. Like, there's so many teams that can get in. I'm always an advocate of cutting down the playoff field to make the regular season more interesting. If we cut it down to 12 and actually have a lot of really good drivers miss the playoffs, that'd be really cool to me, because then race 15 to 26 just takes on that much more importance when you can have so many good teams and good drivers that could possibly miss the playoffs. I think making the playoffs should be hard. That's just my opinion. I don't think over half of the competitive field should make the playoffs. And if you want to argue that there are about 25 to 30 competitive teams, and most likely there's less than that, 16 is over half. So, you know, that's my argument. 12, I think if you could argue you have 25 competitive teams, and if 12 made it, that's still basically half. That's what I would want. I want 12 drivers to make the playoffs, and that a win doesn't guarantee you. Like, a win can maybe place you in the top 12, but if 13 drivers win, then maybe, you know, you win doesn't guarantee. But that's a different topic for another day. Daytona's looming up. Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, they can easily win at Daytona. These are guys who have won at Daytona before. These are guys that have that super speedway experience. They can win. Kevin Harvick can go to Pocono and win. You know, it's I don't know if Eric Almirola can win, but no offense to Eric Almirola, but I don't know if he can win. But the other guys can definitely win. Truex and Blaney can still win. There is easily a possibility where you have, and this is what's going to get a little confusing to me, you can have 17 drivers win. And then at that point, I don't know the rules, but I'm guessing the driver with the least amount of regular season points gets eliminated, because you can't have 17 drivers under the playoffs. I don't know what the rule is. I never thought it would happen, but right now I'm kind of actively rooting for, I think we have, what do we got? We got like 5 races left before the playoffs. I am actively rooting for 17 drivers to win. So I will be a Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon fan. I'll be a fan. Well, Austin Dillon's show is absolute trash, so I can't support him. But, you know, I'll support everyone else to get to that 17 wins, because I just want to see what happens. It'd be kind of funny. But yeah, that's the main you know, talking point about this race, guys. What do you think's going to happen as I continue to look? Yeah, I keep looking down because I'm literally, as you can see, I'm literally just looking at the playoff standings. I keep looking down because, you know, I genuinely have never, I mean, there's not even a dominant driver. You can't tell me Chase Elliott's a dominant driver. He only has 3 wins in seasons where we've seen drivers have 5, 6, 7 wins by this time with like 40 playoff points. This is an unusual season, which probably could have been anticipated because of the next-gen car evening out the field, and a lot of just the randomness that we've seen this season. So, you know, I guess it's a surprise to some. It's not a surprise to others. But this is the main talking point, is now that the playoff picture is gonna be the main talking point for the next few races. And I really actually want to go to Daytona actually in August. I know it usually always rains, so I've been burnt by that. But I would like to go to Daytona, because going to that race, if there were, let's say, 15 winners, and you have basically if you win and you get in the playoffs at Daytona, it could be very interesting, to say the least. That's a race I'd want to attend in person. So that's going to be very interesting. I'm going to end it there, guys. It was a very solid race. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And the season, unexpectedly to me, is about to heat up. I was waiting for late August, early September for the season to get started when the playoffs start, but it's getting started now, because like I said, one of Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr., and Kevin Harvick will miss the playoffs, and that is going to be the talking point and what we watch here for the next few races. I think there's around 5 races left. I'm not entirely sure, but I just know Daytona is August 27th, so I'm guessing there's around 5 to 6 races left to determine what is going to happen here. And don't we have the Pocono doubleheader? I'm pretty sure the Pocono doubleheader is coming up as well, so that's 2 races in 1. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of chances here to get 17 race winners. I will see you guys tomorrow. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. This NASCAR season has been one of the best in recent memory. Seriously. I'm not exaggerating or, you know, smoking a good amount of copium or anything. No, this season has actually been really good. And shout out to NBC. I know Rick Allen wasn't there today. I actually think Rick Allen... Hearing Dale Jr. as play-by-play is just kind of weird. I think he's better as an analyst. He doesn't really have the voice for, like, play-by-play commentator. I think he's really good as an analyst. But, you know, it doesn't really matter to me. Rick Allen in, Rick Allen out. The broadcast team of Letarte, Jr., and Burton with Rick Allen is really good, and NBC is doing a really good job of just keeping me interested throughout the entire race, talking about many different things, talking about toe links, talking about strategy, talking about how, you know, from a driver perspective, what Jeff Burton and Dale Earnhardt Jr. might be thinking, talking about from a crew chief perspective, what Steve Letarte might be thinking. It's very close to perfect. All I would need to make it perfect is Alan Bestwick. That's it. If Alan Bestwick was doing play-by-play, I'd be in heaven every single race. So, yeah, that's basically it. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you're not already. And, yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out.